Welcome to the Elite One Recruiting Show. Hey, excited to be back again. We have another opportunity to help athletes all over the world. Last time we had Anthony Thor from Montego Bay, Jamaica on here. Today we got Remi Skvorc coming from Malaga, Spain. He's 17 years old, 182 pounds. He's from Soto Grande International School, a 6'4" guard. He has aspirations of playing basketball at the NCAA level and at the professional level. And so, today our plan is to support and help him and give him as much advice and direction. He's a young man that will be featured on our Elite One recruiting platform. So we'll be providing some evaluations and feedback for him. So let's get, we're going to bring in Remi now.
Hey.
Hey, Remi, how you doing?
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
All right. Welcome.
Hey, well, glad to have you on here. So, can you, first of all, we're going to give you the honor of introducing yourself first and just maybe telling us a little bit more about you. And then, we'll briefly give you a little bit of a background on ourselves on how we can help you.
Okay. Well, my name is Remi Skvorc. I am originally from Finland, and I'm also half American, and I'm 17 years old. Living now in Spain, and have been playing basketball now for about, I think, 3 years. And I have a very big passion for it, and I want to try and take myself to the next level. And I'm looking for any type of improvement that I can make on.
Awesome. Well, we are definitely excited to have you. With us today, you're seeing our team. That's and our team is made up of Richard Stewart and Kayla Davis. I'll start with myself. Wayne Dawkins. I've been around many years. Your coach and trainer Evan Pellerin has played for me in high school. Played AAU basketball for me in high school. I was from a time before AAU, but I did manage to. Through high school basketball and our provincial basketball program, I was able to get a scholarship to the U.S. And from there, I was able to come back and coach and train and help develop a lot of young people to become collegiate athletes and pros. I'll pass it on to my co-host.
Well, one of the things that I always say, Remi, is that we can always learn. We're always learning. We're trying to always improve as a basketball player. I noticed you just said that you've only been playing for 3.5-4 years. That's a short period of time. And skill sets are hard to get in that short period of time. If you think about Pascal Siakam, who plays for the Toronto Raptors, he started playing basketball when he was 16. And people are trying to tell him, and we're downgrading him because he struggles a little bit with getting the ball so much and being asked to face the basket and break guys down.
Yeah.
Remi, that takes time. So you're on the right track. You have a trainer. You're working with someone who's done it on a high level. You're talking to Wayne, and Wayne is a great resource. He's done this internationally on a great level. You see Kayla there. She's a national team player. So we can all help you, but you have to understand that it takes time, and you have to put in a lot of effort and work. So now Pascal Siakam, watching now these games, he's starting to face the basket more. He's not backing down, and he's not throwing up shots over his shoulder.
Yeah.
It takes time. So 2 years from now, Pascal Siakam is going to be really good. It takes time. So for you, it's the same journey of being a new player. And so we've watched some of your stuff, and we're going to give you an idea of what we saw. And let's take it as constructive criticism to help you get better. Yeah. I'm glad you want to learn. And so welcome to this platform.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Kayla?
Yeah, so kind of like already Richard mentioned, I played for the national team, the Canadian national team for a couple years, provincial team that we have out here, the Ontario provincial team. I came up playing AAU. I'm also probably the closest in age to you in this podcast, so I think I have a slight
come on,
ability to know a little bit more in terms of how I was young here. Nowadays. So I did play AAU. I went through the process similar to what you would most likely go through too in terms of high school, maybe a prep school and things like that, and then rode that all the way to the Division I level and played there. Through a couple injuries, kind of cut my career a little bit short, and now I focus more on skill development and training as well as this recruiting platform. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, awesome. Remi, we're not old. Don't let her tell us that.
You can tell. You can tell. We don't need to lie. But it's all good.
She takes these sneak jabs, these sneak A's jabs.
Yeah.
Every now and then. It's okay. And then your coach will be joining us, and trainer Evan will be joining us. Evan is being a professional basketball player for 16 years.
Nice.
So I'm going to invite Evan in, but Evan's from Toronto, went to Jarvis Collegiate, was a powerhouse back in the day when, before high school basketball started to die off over here. Okay. But, he definitely put that school on the map and helped build on that legacy of that school before going on to play professionally. He's a true blue collar worker. I think that, he's one of those young men. Yes, he's very talented, but his work ethic is unmatched. His willingness to bang it out, grind it out. Fight bang with anybody, bigger players. It's not a surprise at all that he's had a 16-year professional career. So we're going to bring in Evan Pellerin right now. Hey, pal, what's good, fam?
What's good, man?
All right.
Good to see you guys. Richard, how you doing?
I'm
Kayla,
doing good, my brother. Jarvis, Collegiate, huh?
Jarvis, you know it, man.
I know it well. I threw those books in that gym, bro.
Yeah. We had a lot of history. We had a lot of good things going there back in the day. A lot of good battles. A lot of good battles with Eastern. A lot of great battles with Oakwood. So I know the history. I know your history a little bit. I know you're one of the guys that paved the way for guys like me, along with Dawkins. So I really respect and appreciate you guys for that.
Hey, Richard, this our opportunity to mess with Kayla. She never heard of Jarvis.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, you can tell she's young because she heard Jarvis and she's like, Jarvis.
Yeah, great tournament there. Great tournament. One of the best tournaments in the city there.
Hey, before we jump into that, because we'd love to hear about your journey, Evan, and because that's obviously a big part of what you're passing on to young people like Remi out there in Spain. Right. So tell us a little bit about your journey from Jarvis to being a 16-year pro.
Yeah, so it's actually wild here in the 16 years. It just time goes by so fast. It's just like, it seems like yesterday I was leaving the city to go over to play to start my university career, and then from there I moved on and started playing professionally. So played at Jarvis, ended up being fortunate enough to get a scholarship, went on to play at a HBCU, Morgan State University. In Baltimore, Maryland. Nice. Division I school, before I transferred over to Stonehill College, one of the top Division IIs in the United States. At the time, well, they weren't necessarily at the time, but now they are for sure. And was able to have a great 2 years there that kind of propelled me to getting some interest to play overseas. Took that opportunity, started my career in Ireland. Went on from there to play in Switzerland. From Switzerland, I then played in France, where I played the bulk of my career. So I probably played about roughly 10 seasons in France. And then I've been here in Spain finishing out. So I've been here in Spain for the last 2 seasons. But I played a season back a few years ago before I then went back to France for a few years. So now I'm back here in Spain. Kind of at the tail end, just hanging on with these young guys, still running up and down, still being able to compete a little bit, So
it's a young man's sport. It's a young man's sport.
It's a young man's sport, but it keeps me young. Working with my guy Remi here every day, kind of keeps me young and keeps me pushing forward and trying to reach my own little personal goals along the way and stuff. So
how'd you get into coaching? How'd you get into coaching and training? What made you transition from just being a player to wanting to help kids and help others? How'd you get into that?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Richard. Actually, it's been something that's been brewing for a while in me. I've been coaching now for quite a few years, like while playing. So I would come home in the summers in Toronto. Mm-hmm. I would do different camps and different things with the youth back in the city while I was home during the summers. And then as well, when I was out in Europe and France and stuff, I would always coach some of the young guys within the clubs I was playing for. So some of the younger, I would kind of identify guys and work with them. So, I always kind of had a passion to give back because it's thanks to guys like Wayne and, guys like John Clara and, there's so many, the list goes on and on, even John Clara, man, that guy is he's such an underratedly important person in the history of basketball in our city. He kind of flies under the radar, but he's a guy who just is so giving and just has given so much to so many youth over the years. So guys like that and seeing kind of what they did, I'd always kind of put that in the back of my head, like, hey, you want to kind of leave things better than you found it, and you want to kind of give back. And so Evan,
that comes with maturity a little bit, because even when I was at St. Joe's, I was averaging like 11 points, 11.5 points a game in my junior year. And I'm like ready I'm saying, I'm going to add 5 or 6 more points. I'm in the league. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I worked hard that summer, man, and I was like ready. And all of a sudden my coach gets fired. And what happens then is I had to make a choice, because the new coach came in. He brought in Rap Curry, who was a Philadelphia star, a publicly star, flat out Rap Curry. And Bernard Blunt. I don't know if people remember Bernard Blunt. I think he went up against, just an awesome basketball player, a baby Jordan type of player, can do everything, score from everywhere. Not super as Jordan, but he just, as a freshman, the guy was just amazing. Bust his knee, so it was done with him. And then what I had to do was make a decision, Evan. Either be a malcontent, either be sour, or teach the other kids. So to your point about how you turn into coaching, the same thing for me. Is like I just looked around and said, you know what, man, I got to teach these cats how to beat West Virginia. I got to teach these cats how to beat Villanova. I know what they run. I know what they do. I know their tendencies are. So instead of me, so that just made it hard for me, because I was moving a role where I wasn't getting enough touches and stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm a senior. I'm ready to do all this work to get there. And then something happens, and then you have to make a choice. And just like you say you want to help your teammates.
Yeah.
That's basically how I end up training and coaching. And it flowered from there to all the, Dylan Brooks, Ignis. My son played for San Antonio. Couple of girls are out there playing Wake Forest and all that stuff, Villanova. I got plenty of kids out there that transition helped them to get there. And I look at it now as a blessing. So I'm happy that you're doing it, and just keep doing it, man. You're doing the right thing. It's awesome to hear you're doing something like that.
Okay. Well, let's get to, Remi involved here. Remi, like I said, we really want to make sure that any questions you have, we try to answer them to your best of our ability, and give you some feedback. So what questions do you have for us North Americans over here, and, North American basketball people?
I had some questions about the actual recruitment process. How does it really go about? How do the colleges, how do they actually meet the players? Where and so forth? How does it? What's the step by step, in a way, or close to what there is maybe to it?
Okay. Well, Kayla, there's several different ways that happen. So you know what, Kayla, once you give, maybe you can start by giving him a few.
The most current.
Yeah. The
most current
description of how things work. Even from when I was playing AAU, it's evolved. But usually, in terms of recruitment, it can come in various ways. So we have high school basketball, you have AAU. Speaking about my personal experience, most of my recruiting came from AAU experiences in terms of traveling to some of the tournaments. Like you have the Nike EYBL, the Under Armour, and Adidas circuits. Those are pretty well-known circuits. And when you play in those tournaments, you're playing against some top-ranked talent that you have, you might not necessarily be playing them in that game, but they're in the building. So the people that are coming to watch them are going to be checking out some games as well. But to just kind of simplify the experience, it's performing in front of these coaches, right, that are going to be at these AAU tournaments. And in various scenarios, it could be a situation where they're coming to watch your teammate, but they see you and they're like, hey, this kid has something that I think is valuable that we're going to look for. It also depends in terms of coaching, what they're looking for that year, in terms of if they're looking for a point guard, if they're looking for a shooting guard, depends on what year you're coming in. But in general, for me, played AAU, did about 2 years, I guess actually three solid years of AAU during high school through different AAU teams, provincial team. We traveled, played for a national team. And the first year I played, scouts weren't allowed to come, but now they've updated that. So if you play for a national team around the U15, U16 junior national team, they can come in, they watch the World Championship. So recruiting is the first step, is the exposure. The second step, usually they're going to reach out with questionnaires, depending on how old you are. If you are a junior, and I think depending on the rules I got to brush up on, they're allowed to directly contact you at certain periods throughout the year. This might be information you already know, and you could probably, Evan probably gave you a quick kind of spiel on that, but it's, I remember getting a lot of phone calls. They want to get to know you better, and you ask the questions in terms of good questions to ask, or what are you looking for in terms of my position? How do you see me fitting in? What type of offense do you run? And some schools will straight up tell you if they're in a rebuilding phase, and other schools will straight up tell you if you can expect to kind of come in and you're going to be competing for a spot right away, or it's a scenario where they got 4 or 5 other guys at your position that are able to potentially be on the court. But it goes by pretty fast, and in terms of being prepared to communicate with the coaches, at times it can seem overwhelming. But when you have people in your corner, like trainers like Evan, or recruiting platforms like P.H.A.S.E and what we've created and what Wayne's created in terms of just making the process a little bit easier, it definitely aids and allows, takes some of that stress off your shoulders in terms of that. But the number one thing in terms of advice I can give you is just when you handle yourself on the court, you work on your skills, all that stuff is definitely going to handle itself. And you're at the end of the day, when it comes to your production and all that, once you get there, the work that you put in is like you're starting from the beginning again. But yeah, it's pretty fast, and I'll let some of my other co-hosts kind of give you guys a little bit more in depth as well.
Well, Remi, the target list, like Kayla went over some great points for where you're at now and what is happening now. Here's some of the things that I want to let you know. Create a target list of schools. Schools that you think you would like to play at. And that's how you start. So you create a target list of schools. You want to play at Massachusetts. You want to play at Florida. You want to play at Alabama. It's not, to go through all the schools and say, I'd like to play there. Gather contact information. Who are the coaches there? Who's the assistant coaches? All those things are networking things. Assistant coaches go to different schools, and coaches come from different schools. So gather information. Try and reach out to them by a letter or sending them a video. This platform will help you do that, though. Once you're on this platform, a lot of coaches are going to see you, so that's also a helping thing. Attend summer camps. I'm sure Evan can point to some of the summer camps and showcases that are around. If they don't have any there, they do have them in North America. Know the rules and the regulations of where you're trying to get to, and you got to know the academic requirements. Education is an important part, Remi. And you have to know what, you have to take an ACT, a SAT. I don't know what you need to take coming from Europe to here. Maybe it's the same process. And look at what you want to do. I mean, specific players have specific gifts. If you want to go to, if you want to go to Kentucky now and you're a point guard, you have a good chance to play next year. I believe their point guard is not very skilled, and that's why they struggle so much. But for you, you may think, okay, you know what, I'm a wing player, but at your height, 6'4", nowadays, you probably have to play the 2. The 2 is one of the hardest positions to play in basketball. You have to have good lateral movement. You got to be able to shoot the basketball. You got to be able to drive on guard. You got to be able to defend that position. Kevin Durant plays 2. You're going to have to Bradley Beal. So if you're thinking about being a pro, you want to train and get your mindset right if you want to play that position. So scouts are looking for, so now I've put down all that target list for you. Scouts are looking for a person who has good shot selection, and Evan can tell you that. Shot selection. Dribbling skills, which Evan taught you some good stuff. I saw the drills you were doing with the dribbling. Defense, you have to play great defense, and your knowledge of the game. Sometimes a lot of things that coaches are looking for are the intangibles. Is there a backdoor cut available there? Do I know to do a pick and roll properly? When a guy drives, do I run to the open spot and ready, set to shoot? A lot of intangibles that people don't see. So those are the things that I would like you to think about. And this platform is going to highlight for you to a lot of people around the world that what you can do. So I hope that helps you, my friend.
Yeah, and I'd like to share because I want to share just a little bit from my experience with Evan. Evan and I are from that time where, if Kayla, she just quickly rattled off AAU and stuff like that. But Evan is one of the pioneers of AAU, and AAU, the American Athletic Union. It's like the club system that that dominates North American youth basketball.
Yeah.
And the thing about that club system that, that at the time for us coming from Canada, which it makes it a little bit more similar to what you're experiencing is, one, it's an American athletic union, not Canadian. So when we were trying to get on that trail, it was new, and Evan, you can attest to this, that we had one shot. Like if they let us in, we had to perform. And I think that's one of the things that I think, I'd like to really impress on you that, like nowadays kids would play 100 games, and they all on YouTube, everything, and building up to bringing your best from game to game sometimes might be a little bit hard. But for us at that time, we knew we had one shot. We didn't have YouTube. We had to go in there and we had to bust butts and leave there and leave our mark. And Evan, I just want to bring up the King of Prussia World Tournament.
Man,
I don't know what year it was, but I
think it was 2001 because we got the photo. I remember seeing the photo is actually what brought me back to that moment when you have the photo of us there after we won on the bleachers in the bleachers there, and that was in
a place called King of Prussia in
Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's in Pennsylvania.
It's close to Philly. Yeah.
I
remember that.
And we brought a squad. It was Rans Brempong, yourself, Tristan Martin. We brought a bunch of guys down there, and Evan Messiah. So these guys, we had no choice. We had to, if we didn't perform, that was it. I think we had Calipari in the gym even for that game, but we end up winning this tournament.
Wow.
King of Prussia, and that was huge. A Canadian AU team winning an American tournament. And those are the kind of things that I would just say that when given the opportunity to perform, no excuses. You treat that like this is it. Like, if I don't perform the way I need to right now to max out my ability, I don't know if that next opportunity is coming. So it's a little bit different in a sense of the process for us. Evan. Evan's I'd love to hear from Evan just to get it started. What are some things that about Remi that really stand out to you
so far? So as Remi, when he was kind of introducing himself, you guys are aware that he's very young in his basketball journey. So he's only been playing for a few years. But one of the things I immediately identified with Remi last year was his passion for the game. And that's kind of where everything should start. He's just an incredible fan of basketball. He's always watching it. He's always talking about it. He's just, he's a really big LeBron James guy. He can't stop talking about the guy. I hear about LeBron. I hear about LeBron like three hours a day. If you see what LeBron did, LeBron, like he's a LeBron guy. So, but so really, just identifying that within him and seeing that in him and saying, okay, this kid's passionate and he's gonna do what it takes. So I remember when I first started working, I'm like, look, Remi, this is a big task in front of you, right? You want to play Division I basketball. I can help get you there. I can give you the tools and what it takes. I can kind of give you a kind of window into what it's going to take to get you there, but it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be an uphill battle. You're kind of behind the 8 ball because he is 17, right? So we have to got to call a spade a spade. He's not, we're not starting this process at 14, so he's going to have to make up a lot of ground in a relatively quick manner. So
that's right.
We've been working, like crazy, and he's came a long way. I think he has a natural work ethic, which as Wayne mentioned earlier, that really kind of resonated with me because that's kind of that's my DNA, right? It's just blue collar, show up every day, put the work in. And he's a kid that never complains, no matter what I tell him to do. I remember in the beginning, I used to test him. We've been now training for about over 6-8 months now. And in the beginning, I used to test him. I put him in some wind sprints, some suicide 17s. I asked him about Remi, how'd you like those 17s? Put him on some 17s, something like that. To test him, to try to break his will a little bit, to see kind of if he would crack. And he always came back the next morning ready to work, ready to go. Coach, what's next? What do you want me to do? So I think, his work ethic is going to take him a long way. I think, skill wise, we still have, a long way to go. And we're really, every day we're kind of making those incremental jumps. And I think, his shots really improve. I think his kind of calling card as a player is going to be his ability to shoot the ball. Because when I in the clips you guys seen, it's not really, there'll be more to come. I've been doing a bad job of filming things and stuff, but we'll get there. But he really has a natural ability to shoot the basketball just off rip. So I feel like now we've been fine tuning that, really putting some range on his shot, shooting off the dribble, catch and shoot situations, running off of screens full speed, being on balance. I think he's really coming a long way in that respect.
I saw that too, Evan. I was watching one of the clips that Wayne sent to me a moment ago, and I just took a cursory look that we were coming on right now with you. Is that when you're right, when he runs and you're passing the ball in free play, he runs around squares and shoots it. It looks nice. The thing that I saw was the set shot. He's on his heels on the set shot though.
Yes.
And then I saw you put him in on the sand. The sand's going to help him get up off the toes. Yeah. So I see what you're doing there. That's all. He's helping you fix that.
And I like that too, because Evan, like the way this game is skill is one thing, but the athleticism now, athletes in the men's game, the women's game, semi-pro, at almost every level now, the athletes are getting ultra athletic.
Yeah.
And so skill alone is not going to be enough. So, you out there running and building his speed up and helping to help his body is crucial.
The other thing that I saw was explosiveness. The other video you were showing, I saw you go over and dunk it, Remi. Good job, brother. Good job. All right, I like that. But I saw you working on his explosiveness as well. And what I also saw was his lateral movement needed some work. I know you see that when he's doing moves laterally. So that's why the coach is doing that for you, Remi. Everything that he's doing for you, brother, it's the right thing from my eye. So, he's doing the right things to help you get better. He is.
And one thing I do, because I want to pull, I had injuries, and Kayla had an injury, and I had a pretty major injury in college as well too. But developing your body and a commitment to your body. I mean, I'd like to, Kayla to just share just in terms of, just the impact, the pounding, like how important is it, Kayla, to have your body ready at that level? And then, what is it like coming back from an injury if something like that takes place?
Yeah, for sure. So when I tore my ACL and my meniscus my freshman year, my first year when I got to Xavier, before that, we go through, you go through your weight room protocol. You become stronger, you feel stronger, you put a little bit more weight on. Definitely anywhere between 10 to 20 pounds, depending on what you're eating and how you're working out. But when I got hurt, it was because I went from playing probably about 10, 15 minutes a game to playing the entire game when we had no point guard, right? So for about a 10-game stretch, we're doing practices, I'm doing everything else, but now my minutes are like 30, 35, 40 minutes a game. And my break was at halftime, and that was really about it. So when it comes to, in terms of body management, I could say looking back, stretching wasn't my favorite thing to do. I would only really do stuff when I was forced to do it. So I always, especially when I train players now, there's a combination of, hey, we're going to do X amount of time to stretch, and we're going to warm up. But there's also a part that can be done on your end in terms of working on flexibility, because a lot of times injuries come from some type of imbalance, whether it's the muscles that are supposed to be working are not, and it forces that overcompensation that's going to lead to those injuries. So explosion, all that stuff is great, 100% needed, but it also, other than making you a good athlete, it strengthens the muscles that need to be able to be susceptible to that constant pounding and running in 3-hour practices and things like that. So for sure. I can answer the second question too, but I think if anyone else has anything to add.
Actually, I'd like to hear, Remi, what do you do on your own right now? Like, to sort of build your body, prepare yourself. Like what is your work ethic like on your own?
Well, I usually, before me and Evan train, because we train every morning from 9 to 1, before I go to school. usually before that, I have access to like the school gymnasium. So I'm in there for a few hours, and I get my shots up. And then I work on my ball handling and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And usually on the weekends, I work a lot on my hip strength, and then I also do a lot of stretching and some yoga. And then me and Evan, we also work on we always have active recovery on Fridays, where we're just working on, for instance, like on my Achilles, working on my flexibility, balance, and so forth, just to improve upon it. And that's one thing that I really took into this summer was stretching, because I knew that was going to help me with everything, and then prevent injuries, because this is a time where I cannot get injured.
No, yeah. You don't got enough years under your belt to lose any time. So that is, and what's it like to be working alongside a pro? I mean, Evan's a 16-year vet. And that type of longevity. I don't care what level you play at. I don't care what to last that long.
Yeah.
That you got to be doing something right in terms of taking care of your body and just being a pro every day. What are some things you've learned from Evan or you've taken away already from him?
Oh no, I mean just like the daily basis of Evan's knowledge of just like on the game, and just also just on just everything like got to do with the body. He has so much knowledge on it, and he's taken me from someone who isn't even running properly to someone who can run properly, and who can actually who has like the right footwork, and who's been able to like who's able to like coordinate themselves, and to just everything, just to make myself, for me to not get injured, and just for me to strengthen my whole body. He's taken me from one level to a whole nother over this time.
That is awesome. Evan, as far as Remi's progress right now, you said his shooting's a good, is obviously something that's going to be really something that's going to separate him from everybody else. Is there anything athletically, and then we see him dunking? Is there something athletically about him right now, that some upside that?
Yeah. So athletically, I think he's just now tapping into his athletic potential. I feel like you've seen him, and even that little clip I sent of him dunking. There's other ones that I just didn't have access to, where he's now, that's actually like been about a month or two ago. So he's getting up even more on the rim now. I feel like the attention we pay to his body now, and just his being functionally strong. Because I'm big now. I'm not necessarily getting in the weight room and throwing a bunch of weight around, but it's about being functional in the movements that you do on a basketball court, right? And being as strong as we can in those positions. So I feel like, we really been focusing on his hips. I know he mentioned that, he went over that, because we identified an issue that he has with his knees, and Kayla might be able to, because I know it's common a lot in a woman's biology, and it's something that's called knee valgus. So so you know what that is, right? Yeah. So when
collapsing, right?
The knees collapse, exactly. So that's a lot of the times why women get ACLs, MCLs, stuff like that, because again, when your body fatigues and you're in those explosive movements, and you're pushing off, you're jumping, you're starting, you're stopping, and those knees collapse in, the ligaments don't really necessarily can't hold up to that type of torque and that type of, so a lot of times it starts in the hips. Part of it is genetics, because there's a little bit of a family history with it. So we're gonna have to work the best way we can with it. But it's been really improving, and I see that his lateral movement, as you touched on, Richard, his lateral movement is getting better. Yes. Because I find, with his hip flexibility and mobility, it wasn't the best, so he was kind of struggling with that lateral movement. Yes. But I feel like his athleticism is really gonna take off soon. I feel like we're gonna really start to really see some really good progress. But
where do you see his growth? What do you see his growth? I mean, he's what, 17?
He's 17, so he's 6'4" now.
You see the spurts? I mean, you probably didn't get to see.
I feel like I got my gut feeling. I feel like he'll be at least 6'6". My gut feeling. But but who knows? He had a growth spurt. When was it, Remi? Last summer or the summer before? Summer before, right?
Yeah. I grew from about 6'1" to like 6'3", and then in the past year I grew about an inch.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I feel like he's got an inch or two left. So he'll probably finish at around 6'6". 6'6". I'm hoping.
What do you think about his his knowledge of the game, his instincts? Because a lot of guys think that you run up and down the court, but he didn't run up and down. Do you have the instincts? Do you have the ability to cut someone off, like cut into the middle and stop him from flashing to the ball? Where do you see? Does he have the bounce pass to feed the post? Does he know to fake up? Like, I don't know. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So fundamentally, like, his fundamentals of the game is something, because he's still so young in his journey.
Yeah.
We're constantly. Yeah, so we're constantly adding to that daily.
Yeah.
His knowledge of the game, in terms of just like being a student of the game, is there, but I feel like he still needs to kind of put it into action in competition and competing.
Experience.
So as you guys know, experience, exactly. So there it is. Right? So
I got a question for him too.
Yeah.
Remi, what do you see as your strength? If you had to break yourself down and say, okay, this is my strength, this is my go-to, this is what I do well, athletically, skill-wise.
I would say that my go-to is my shooting, and for sure I would say just working off the ball, and also of course I can take on the ball too, but I feel like I feel personally that I get my best shots off the ball, and when I'm running off screens, or when I'm giving ball, or when I'm faking and then I'm running off and getting open, that's how I feel I'm most confident when I get the ball in my hand, that I'm gonna knock it, and then I'm gonna knock it down. And what I'm working on now mostly is on my ball handling, and because that's something I know I'm gonna need to have, because that's gonna open the game up for me to be able to just find looks, and to be able to just put the ball on the floor, and to be able to get to the basket, and off of that, for instance, off of that ball fake. It's gonna be key for me to unlock my ball handling.
Okay. And in what position would you consider yourself?
I would consider myself right now probably a 2.
Okay, 2.
2.
And we got any 2 guards on here? Got some advice for 2? Kayla's our technical director. She's the expert on every position. Kayla,
that's right.
You got some advice on 2 guards for us?
I can give my little piece, but I know I can tell just by the way Evan speaks about the game that he's knowledgeable in terms of ways to continue to produce his talent, especially playing at the 2 position. But you said a very important part of it there, just the ability to score off the screens. And when I think of that, I think of recently just doing some film on Bradley Beal is one of the people that come to mind very quickly, because he's just an extremely dynamic player. And like you said, unlocking, or just being able to, now let's say you come off of a screen, or you have a pin down screen and you flare, there's also an opportunity, maybe you're not open for that shot, where you can attack, and if that big steps up, hit him with a Euro, be able to finish creatively around the rim and things like that. So in terms of being a 2, you're already on the right path. And I know I can already tell that Evan's got you on that path too, just being able to do multiple things. And then Richard mentioned it earlier, that's a very tough position to guard. You got a lot of talented scorers at that position. Yeah. So being able to sit down and work on that lateral movement, consistent 3-point shot. You're actually playing a position that, to be honest, there's not a lot in terms of things that you shouldn't be able to do, but you can definitely narrow them down. And when you have a good trainer, they're going to help you do that. But you're definitely on the path.
So you're in the right track.
Definitely. Remi, we can't not ask about COVID. So how's COVID impacting you right now?
Quite a lot. In this area now we have like
which area, like with the area in Spain you're in, like specifically?
Yeah. So the area in Spain, in the southern of Spain. So basically we're on a lockdown, but we're not. It basically like everything shuts at 6 o'clock.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And then you're still allowed to move outside until 10. But yeah, everything shuts at 6. And that's, I mean, for instance, you're not able to, I mean, gyms aren't open now, but that's why it's great that I have access to my school gym, so I can work out there. And also, you're only allowed to be in groups of 4, so that's why no team stuff is happening right now.
Yeah.
In Canada, we're allowed 10. So we're on lockdown right now, but before the lockdown, we were allowed 10. But wow, 4. Evan, what can you get done with 4? Just a lot of individual work, right?
Yeah. So there it is. There it is, right? So we're outside. We're taking it back to the old school. But thank God out here. Thank God out here.
Boy.
Kayla, that means like back when we only played on the asphalt.
I did a little bit of that. I know where he's going. When you shoot, there's no
Kayla's new school. Kayla's air conditioned gym.
Oh, she hardwood.
Fan, water.
That's all right. I'll pretend to be bougie for the concept.
Okay. Remi, before COVID, was it all hardwood and AC for you too, or?
No hardwood. Our school doesn't have, but here in Spain they use like this type of I don't know what it is. It's like a rubbery sort of
rubber
tire. Yeah. The tires. They recycle tires.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Evan, what's
it's
up?
Like rubber. It's like rubber floors. Yeah, they're not really only the nicest gyms get hardwood out here. A lot of the times in like the schools and stuff, like high schools and stuff, they put that rubbery kind of like multi-purpose. It's like a multi-purpose floor, so it's not.
Okay.
So
and it comes sometimes it bubbles, and the ball bounces a certain way too. If
wow.
Rubber floor is a little bubble. The ball bounces over there. You better have a handle.
I would not. Well, yeah, maybe. Well, before we wrap up, Remi, any last questions? Anything? Definitely, we'd like to give you an opportunity to thank anybody else you like to. But any last questions before we wrap up and thank yous?
Not really comes to mind right now, but
okay. Well, that's okay because we're here for the journey.
Mom, Dad.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Let's let you thank them properly. I'm just gonna put you full screen here. You go ahead and thank Mom and Dad properly.
Thank you, Mom, for always driving me to practice, and thank you, Dad, for waking up early with me and taking me to school at 6:30. I know it's not fun, but he does it, and I really do appreciate them for that. Nice. And I'm putting in all the time and effort for me. I really do appreciate it.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Good.
Awesome.
Good character, young man. Well, thank you, Evan. Thank you, Remi. Squad.
All right, Evan.
Anything else for them before we go?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Evan, for what you're doing over there, helping young people. I mean, that's cool, giving back. Remi, good luck to you. All right, get your friends, get anybody who wants to play basketball on this platform. We're going to help people get better, okay, buddy? But good job by you, okay? And good luck. Good luck. We're going to get there.
Kayla, any last things for you?
I would just echo those same sentiments. I mean, you, like I said earlier, you seem like you're on the right path. Just continue to work and be patient. I mean, there's going to be times where knowing that you started a little bit later than the usual crop of kids that you might feel like you're behind, but all you can do right now is work with the current position you're in. COVID is also one of those situations that is definitely kind of threw a wrench in your plans, but I mean, your best opportunity right now is to work with what you got, and you'll be surprised with the amount of work ethic that Evan said that you have, how far you'll be able to get with that. So awesome. Stick with it.
Awesome.
Hey, Evan, I'm really proud of you continuing the, passing on, paying it forward, continue the legacy of what was started, over here in Toronto with you and with us. And so I'm really proud of you. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you, man.
Recruiting.com. Okay.